Hello, everybody. Happy Wednesday. Let's do an end of day update. And I'll try to go live both on TikTok and YouTube. So let's start with looking at the gaps. So let's start with traditional market. I'm going to go over all the stocks, indices, Bitcoin, crypto, and then at the end, I'll answer any of your questions. Okay, so first thing first, let's look at S&P 500, 1 hour chart, see what happened. Wednesday gap down, all right. So you can see a slight gap here, and again we gap down. So gaps do get filled 95% of the time or 90% of the time. So now we have a gap up, now we have a gap down. We're in the middle, so it is quite possible we pump in the morning, fill this gap first before we go down, fill this bottom gap. But it's also quite possible we could this could be again higher low before we go to a new all-time high. That's also quite possible, okay? So just be mindful of that. Uh, but let's quickly look at all the gaps. That's the thing. So triple Q's, NASDAQ, we can see also gap down, and today massive gap down. Still this gap is not filled. So tomorrow also definitely looks like a gap is here down, a gap is up. We're in the middle. Let's see how it goes. Dow Jones, no gaps on Dow Jones, so which is good news. Other gap is all the way down. IWM again gap down. All right, so you can see a way to analyze is to look at the gaps first, and we're going to do like a quick gap analysis and these are all four indices, and let's do quick gap analysis on bigger stock. Tesla also gap down, so Tesla, you can see how many gaps are there. So let's see if Tesla pumps from here to the top gap, 14% upside. All right, so keep that in mind. Gold miners, let's quickly add some gaps here. Again gap down today, so many gaps. Now there's last gap here, so more gaps up, less gaps down. Let's look at uh, other big stocks like Apple. All right, Apple also looks like did not fill this gap. So interesting. So if I zoom in, you can see this gap is not filled. Amazon also gap down, gap here. Facebook gap is filled. Microsoft gap is filled. Google not filled. You can see here slight gap left here. Netflix no gaps. Nvidia no gaps. This was gap up. They came and filled that gap. Now the gaps are downside on Nvidia instead of upside. You can see all these gaps here. So Nvidia has so many gaps, guys. I can't even like it's crazy right now. So I usually mark down gaps with green. So let's do that here. So what that means is be careful. 90% of the times gaps do get filled. So you can see this gap, which was gap up day before yesterday, and they came and filled that gap. AVGO also no gap here. One gap to the downside here, all the way down. And AMD probably had a massive gap here. You can see here another gap here. It's a gap city right now, and Snowflakes also had a gap down, but they filled the gap by the end of the day. Okay, so these were some major indices. So let's review. Let's see Bitcoin. No gaps, and Ethereum also no gaps. All right. So let's start with Bitcoin because I think a lot of people on TikTok are usually interested in Bitcoin first. So Bitcoin just near some kind of a support, little bit of support here. If I zoom out, let's go to weekly chart of Bitcoin. This is weekly chart. So you can see this whole area here. This is acting as a resistance. It could be making a flag on weekly, trying to reset RSI, but I want to show you something. You see this red arrow on this indicator. Um, you see every time we get a red arrow, okay, that's like a sign of a top, all right? This is weekly chart. We got a red arrow here. It still pumped red arrow here. So it came very close to the top, red arrow here. See it near the top, red arrow here. And then it dumped like after this red arrow. on a weekly. Let's see, this red arrow came here. We had a dump of almost 21%. All right. This red arrow is did not make sense, but now we're getting a red arrow again. Okay, so be careful. Now, if you look at weekly support wise, if I want to draw a box, you can see this whole area. This whole area can act as a nice support here, right? So Bitcoin went higher, never came back to test this support. So this is around 30K. And if I go to BTC chart, you can see I was still showing this to other guys yesterday. There are all these gaps, and most of these will fill. Okay, so also we have red arrow here. So let me go back to daily chart. Okay, so you can see it was showing divergence, price going higher with divergence. So it is kind of now showing red on a daily chart, which means it's close to the bottom. So it started showing that, but it did not show a bottom green arrow here. All right, it showed a green arrow here and it bounced. Showed a green arrow here. I don't know if you can see it here. This green arrow on this date and then bounce. I haven't got a green arrow. Okay, let's go back. Let's go back and see if this indicator how good this arrow here. Okay, this little bit of bounce and then came back down. But again, it gave an arrow here, just consolidated, arrow here. So yeah, so it's not quite perfect, but it's uh, uh, it's an indication that the bottom is near. So same thing like this top arrow is an indication that the top is near. All right. So anyhow, just be mindful of all these gaps to the downside. So if it falls, I think I really want to see this gap filled. I don't know when it's going to be filled. 7.79%, 39,405. You can see this massive gap. It will be filled for Bitcoin. 7% down is not a big deal. It can even do it in one day, quick. All right. So just be mindful, especially it's going higher on divergence. This is RSI making lower high, price is making higher high. This is divergence. So you want to see a divergence on the opposite side. You want to see price going lower, RSI making higher high, but it's going exactly opposite here. Price is going higher, RSI is making lower high. So be careful. A dump is probably on the way. Ethereum's gap is all the way down here around 1850. Again, Ethereum is also making higher high with divergence. So just be careful here. And Ethereum is still pretty high compared to Bitcoin. So I think a uh, major major downside move is possible as well. Okay, and this is live market of Ethereum. Nothing different, just lower high on RSI. Bitcoin also, there's a little bit of support here, to be honest. It's like this whole area. If you're a bull, there's a little bit of support in this whole area for Bitcoin. So you really want Bitcoin to jump right now. If you're a bullish person, you don't want this whole area to break. Okay, so this support is around 41,000. This whole area, you want Bitcoin to really jump right now. If it breaks here, then it's gonna be really bad, all right? And you can see this whole massive pump. It can come down, same thing, like in a flash, okay? So let's see if Bitcoin can hold. If you're a bull, it holds and it bounces to new highs. If not, then if it breaks, then we're coming all the way down here around 30,000, all right? So be careful on Bitcoin. All right, let's move on to traditional market VIX. VIX now, let's go to 1 hour chart. Another gap up. All right, so you can see gap up on this day, Tuesday. Today also gap up, so we're going to mark bottom gaps by green. So this is a good news actually, to be honest, for the bulls, because VIX now will fill this gap, and this was pretty much like a doji candle. It had a spike and it came back. This could be a reversal candle too on a VIX. Okay, it could be, you can see something like this. It happened inverse hammer and then it sold off VIX. All right, you can see, let's see if there are any other instances of something. So you can see this inverse hammer, right? And then VIX sold off. So this is what we got right now today. And especially there are multiple gaps to the downside. So VIX can, if VIX sells off, try to fill these gaps, that's going to be very bullish for S&P 500 and overall market, and that will help Bitcoin to go higher as well. And S&P 500, I showed you, there's a gap here. Now, if it bounces from here, let me add that moving average so that gives you a better perspective here. So here you go, moving averages. S&P 500 now close below white line, which is 20 moving average. Actually, it closed right above that. Actually, let me change it to simple moving average. I think that's better than EMA. All right, so if I do simple moving average, you can see it's now below white line. So which is not a good news, but again, this could be still be a higher low before it goes higher. Uh, like I can show you on 1 hour chart. Let me hide this indicator here. You can see here, it can still be a higher low. This is low, and then although it made a low before this, but it's due for a bounce. Okay, so it can bounce, and at least it will bounce till 474 area. Then there's going to be a real test. If it closes above that, then it's going to be very bullish. So going back to the daily chart and adding this indicator back. So you can see we really want S&P 500 to bounce, and VIX is telling me that it could bounce. Okay, so if it bounces from here, it could go to new all-time highs. All right, and triple Qs, which is Nasdaq. Same thing here. This could be also a higher low before we go high to a new all-time high. That's quite possible. Now triple Qs is a bit better because it's holding this white line, which is 20 simple moving average, and in a bull market we always touch and bounce 20 simple moving average, so which is always good. So let's see, tomorrow is a real test, and if we bounce from here, I think we're going to new all-time high. Dow Jones US 30, which is weakest of all, now it broke this previous pivot here. So if I go to 1 hour chart, you can see this previous low, it's broken. This is a new low, but it's near 200 EMA and SMA. Dark blue line is 200 SMA, light blue line is 200 EMA. Could find support there. Again, going back to daily chart, now I don't see any support here, but if we bounce from here, then there's going to be a little bit of resistance around this white line, which is 20 simple moving average. 375 is a bit of resistance. But if it keep going down, then it could come near this gap fill around 354. All right. IWM near support. This is 20 simple, sorry, 50 SMA, right on the support area. Okay. In a bull market, we should be bouncing from 50 SMA. Like, let me show you here. Russell is a mess. This was a real bull market in 2020. Always come near this red line, focus on red line. Okay, sometimes go near that and bounce, bounce, bounce. So always try to close near the red line. So this is a good time to enter. But if it goes down, there's another support around 182.4 here. All right. So it looks like this is a flag. Yesterday I was telling you this could be a flag. If I draw a trend line on Russell, okay, this could be a flag. And if I take that target, now we are still a little bit lower. We could go a little bit lower tomorrow, around 184. That will be a good area if this flag, you can see bear flag, and then it comes down a little bit more lower tomorrow. That's gonna uh, that's gonna fulfill the range of a bear flag. All right, let's look at some stocks here. Tesla again down. One thing I want to show. Let me hide this indicator. I want to show like this Lux Algo indicator. You can see on this indicator on Tesla, I got a green dot here. All right, so last time I got a green dot here on Tesla, it bounced. Uh, so last time we got a green dot, it bounced from here almost 31%. All right, before we got a green dot here near the bottom, and Tesla bounced from there 31% again. And then we got a green dot here on this day here. Tesla bounced almost 100%. All right. You can see this green dot on Tesla chart is very, very, very close to the bottom. You can see here when we got green dot, it bounced 114%. All right. So my point is, look what happened today. If you're a Tesla bull, it's a good news because it's giving me a green arrow again. All right. So if it bounced 30% here, it could go to like previous, could go very close to high, and this is a gap here. You can see this massive gap here on Tesla, never filled. All right, if I zoom in, if I go to 1 hour chart on Tesla, uh, this day here, this exact day, this was July 2023, massive gap down, never got filled there. It will be filled. It will be filled definitely. If you're a bull, this is good news that a gap is here which is not filled, and it will be filled one day. Maybe it will be filled today, this year. Okay, so yeah, so remember all these gaps at the top. Now there are some gaps at the bottom too. So we are right in the middle. But I think Tesla is due for a bounce because I'm seeing very oversold RSI, red everywhere. So when you see a lot of red, that's a good time to enter. And when you see a lot of green on the top, that's a good time to exit. Okay. Right now it's giving me red and then an arrow. So that means Tesla is very close to bottom. So just wanted to show you this. Gold miner also very close to bottom. You can see all these red. You can see I haven't got a green arrow yet, but again multiple gaps open. So I switched my position. I was holding gold and I switched at the end from gold to gold minus GDX. Actually I got GDXU, which is 3x. If you want to trade with me, if you want to take some risk, GDXU is the one you can buy if you want. But if this bounces from here, you can see the amount of upside, 3% here, 7%, 10% upside, quite possible. Okay, so it's a risk. It can still go lower to fill this gap tomorrow around 27, but I can wait, I can hold. Especially, I'm thinking gold should bounce here and looking for gold to bounce very soon. Let me hide this algo. It's gonna confuse you guys. And let me add moving averages. Here you go. All right, so gold is below 50 SMA and EMA, this red and white line. So if gold bounces tomorrow, this is a nice support area around 2017, but this could be a stop rate. So I really want gold to bounce here. If it bounces, that's going to be bullish for all the miners. Silver also on a nice trend line. If I hide this chart, you can see if I draw a trend line on silver, nice trend line. Hit that trend line right today, all right? Right today it hit the trend line and then now it's ready to bounce in my opinion. So silver is right on support. Crude oil consolidating and I think it's below all moving averages. So you can see it's below all the moving averages, consolidating below 50 SMA and 50 EMA, red and white line, so red and yellow line. Still consolidating. It really needs to break out to be bullish again. I think it's just gathering some energy, and you can see we're making new low on a bullish momentum. So these are some of the indication that oil is ready for a breakout. What else is here? Dollar had a massive session yesterday. I was telling you, and you can see actually today it got rejected at 200 EMA. That's pretty interesting. So if it dollar falls from here, it can come. So you can see this is inverse head and shoulder. This is left shoulder head, right shoulder going higher. So maybe it wants to now come back for a back test. So if dollar gets weaker, that's going to be bullish for Bitcoin and gold. Natural gas, also a couple of gaps to the top side on the yellow. And I think natural gas is going lower. And I do want to see on natural gas some divergence. So I think natural gas is going lower towards the new low in my opinion. So I think it's going lower, maybe like this, and then it will bounce. That's what I think will happen, but that's just my prediction. Okay. Toronto Stock Exchange. Let's see, 1 hour chart. Did it gap down? Yeah, it did gap down. You can see all these indices had a massive gap, and thanks to I think China, there was some bearish news in my opinion. One gap here, one gap here. All right. Okay. So a couple of gaps to the top side. So coming a little bit more lower near some support will be good. Hang Seng Index China, you can see this massive, looks like it's capitulating, but I got a green arrow here too. Actually, today I'm getting a green arrow. So is it gonna be bottom? I don't know. New low, but you can see other side still higher. So if I draw an arrow here on China market, still higher, higher momentum. You can see here, oops. So higher momentum, all right. So I'm just gonna make this green and 1 point. Actually, I'm gonna delete this. You can see higher momentum, new low. So it's quite possible study for a bounce. What else is interesting? Apple. Um, Apple also trying to make a double bottom. If it bounces here, all these gaps to be filled to the top side. So you can see it can still go as long as as high as 5% from here, all right? If it's a double bottom, it will bounce. And I think it's holding 200 SMA. You can see it came again on this is follow this dark blue line. 200 SMA touched and bounced. Again, it touched today and then bounced. All right. So as long as it holds 200 SMA, I think everything is good on Apple. Okay, I'm gonna keep it short today. Let me see if you guys have any questions, and then I'm gonna log off. Let me start with YouTube. No questions here. TikTok. All right. So let's go and see if you guys what questions you have. All right, Vishal, ETH. I covered ETH, Vishal. Let me show you again. Ethereum, here you go. Let me hide this line. So yeah, Ethereum, there are divergences. You can see RSI, this is RSI. Price is making higher high and RSI is making lower high. And there are some divergences are happening here. So just be careful, especially Bitcoin. Keep an eye on Bitcoin. Like there's a gap here on 39.405. I think Bitcoin wants to come fill this gap. So if Bitcoin drops around 7 and 8%, Ethereum can also drop. And the only thing which is worrying me about Ethereum is this big gap around 1840. So there are three gaps, 1850, 1613, and 1427. So in my opinion, if you are in profit, look to take profits and wait for a pullback. Now there is some support here, little bit of support here around what is this area? 2200 bucks. So you can see a lot of confluence here. So if Ethereum comes there, that's a good time to buy. So that's around maybe 7% down. So that's an area you want to be buying again around 2200, 2300 area. Because it's right now massive pump, you should wait for a pullback before buying anything right now. Uh, Corgi AI, what is Corgi AI? Corgi AI. Corgi AI. What is this? USD. I'm assuming this one. I don't know what this is. I cannot see it on TradingView. Many. Corgi AI is not showing me. It's like a chart with not a lot of data, so I don't know what to say here. It's crazy, man. I cannot do TR. It's not enough data here. Okay, sorry, man. Any other questions anybody have before I log off? Let me know if you guys have any questions before I can log off else, and I can go back to my famous charts here. You can see this is Nasdaq 100. We are trying to do some kind of trading here, day trading. So I'm gonna just go back, fix my chart while I see if anybody have any problem questions. Else I'm gonna just fix my chart and then log off. This is Nasdaq 100. All right, so this is Nasdaq 100. I want to show you guys today what happened. This is my favorite buy zone and red zone. You can see Nasdaq came in the buy zone, green zone, and then bounced. Now it's in the neutral zone. We don't do anything in the neutral zone. Um, S&P 500, same thing, came to the green buy zone and bounced. Let's look at Bitcoin. Let me delete this big green box. You can see Bitcoin touch green line bounce. Every time it touches green line, it bounces. You can see here it bounced to 16 Jan, touch bounce, came to sell line, sell off, touch SPY line bounce. So this is a very good indicator. So right now it's in the neutral line, so nothing to do here. And on Ethereum, same thing, just touching green line bouncing, touching red line selling. So this green line is around 25.06 right now. This is just for 1 day short-term trades. Bitcoin, that green line is around 42,182. Tesla is, I don't know, end of day they sold off. I don't know if there's any news. I don't see any major news, but yeah, it was in green zone all day, then bounce, and now I think they want to put it back in the green zone. So if it opens here, then you can buy again with all these gaps to the top side. Okay. All right, guys, that's it for today. I'll see you guys tomorrow. No questions.